And welcome, everybody. We are finally joined by my good friend, the one, the only Marks. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
This one's been a while in the making, mate. Been wanting to do a spotlight on you. Over the years, mate, you've given me little dabbles here and there of some of the background of a weird little lady, Marks. Did I get my Irish accent right then? Well, not
You
right, but
no, you mess it up every time, but it's okay. I'm used to people just making a weird accent now at this rate.
yeah. At least I didn't do Scottish or Jamaican. That's my usual go-tos. When I'm drunk, I do Jamaican. I don't know why. And when I'm not drunk, I usually just somehow kind of think Scottish for some reason. And but mate, it's been one hell of a journey for you, hasn't it, mate? And you're not too far from home, but you've definitely come a long way over these last few years, mate.
Yeah, it's been interesting for sure. Very unexpected.
Yeah.
Didn't think I'd be here, but here we are. Had never any intentions of getting into the gaming industry, to be honest.
Yep.
It was never on my radar. Always thought I was too stupid for it. Maybe I still am, probably am. But here I am. So.
Leave a comment below if you think that Mark is too stupid for the job. Oh, God. Well, what did I just do? Okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of the background lore, mate.
Sure.
For those who can't tell, you are obviously quite Irish.
Yes, yeah.
Whereabouts in Ireland did you grow up?
I'm from a county called Kilkenny, down the very southeast of the country.
Yep.
A ways away from Dublin. You know, everybody thinks Ireland. They think, oh, Dublin, you must be from Dublin. But no, very far away from Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
Small little village, about 20 minutes outside of a city called Waterford in the south. And farming is like the biggest thing in the village. You know, a lot of farms. You walk in any direction, you're going to run into a farm at some stage, or a farmer, or whatever.
Potato farms?
That, cattle is a big one. Milk, dairy, you know, stuff like that. Beef.
Yep.
A lot of that. So I was always probably the odd kid out for not working on a farm or knowing how to drive a tractor by the time I could walk. You know, and being into the computers things, you get a lot of weird looks from farmers and stuff like that. But, you know, you got to be different every once in a while.
Exactly. How much of your personality do you think comes from being Irish?
I don't know. Probably more than I probably think I know.
I don't agree.
You know what I mean?
I personally don't agree, mate. Like you've obviously got the accent, and Irish is such a distinctive accent. People hear that. It's not like with us Australians. They go, "Oh, are you British?" Although sometimes say Kiwi or something like that. You guys have got a very distinctive, but you don't seem to have a lot of the what would be called the stereotypical traits of the Irish. And that. Now, you're not a big drinker.
No,
I know that for a fact.
No.
I remember sharing something with you about Irish stew, and you were like,
Yeah. There's I guess you're right. I've never really thought about it, so I don't actually know. But yeah, not a big drinker.
I know you're a very proud Irish guy, though. You are very proud of your Irish heritage.
Yeah, I think a lot of us would be, you know, when people say we're, you know, the amount of times I've been called like, oh, so you're from England? And you're like, wait a minute there now, like, hang on a minute.
Honestly, you've got to be kind of retarded if you're mistaking fucking Irish accent for England.
It happens. It happens, but proud to be Irish, of course. But yeah, I guess I don't have probably as many Irish traits as some. I try to keep my bad language to a minimum as well.
You don't swear a lot. You don't.
Yeah, that's something I kind of doing YouTube.
Is that because you're a good Irish little Catholic little boy?
No, not at all. Not at all. But that habit came from just doing YouTube. You know, that if you want to, you know, do the best on YouTube, you have to be somewhat family friendly. So you just try and restrict your.
Is that what I'm doing wrong?
Cursing. The list is endless.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking you were going to say as well. Boydy, that's the least of your problems, mate.
Right, yeah. But no, actually, that's one thing that I noticed. I uploaded a video yesterday as we were recording this with my brother, ran on Sack and thing, and every second word out of my brother's mouth was a bad word, and I had to try and cut as much of it out as I could. And yeah, but like I'm different, so I just got into the habit of not being as foul, I guess.
And what was your childhood like?
It was like any normal childhood, I guess, you know. I'm trying to think back. It was just like a normal childhood. I guess I'm in that generation where my childhood didn't involve the internet, and the internet only came around when I was in like my early teenage years. So like, obviously it was around, but it became like popular and started becoming popular with the, you know, my generation then. So like you're outside playing, building huts in the mud, getting up to all types of mischief when you're younger. I have a brother and a sister, so you'd be either playing with them or fighting with them, depending on the day. And yeah, just a normal one. And then obviously as you got older, then things change and you realize, oh, this internet thing is kind of cool, and you go from there. So,
because how old are you again?
27.
Yep. So you're even a bit late for you know, one of the other big things when people think of Ireland, but like with the IRA and that had all kind of settled down quite a lot. That was around 9/11 was when they finally. I know they've never really disappeared. You know, they've still got the political party wing of it and that.
Yeah,
but that was always a present spectre for the Irish, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Now we were not affected by it because we were the opposite side of the country, so we had no real effect on it. We had family members
other than finding the stray body in the farm or something like that.
Yeah, right. Every once in a while, but you know, we had family members who were in it and stuff. There was family members in it. I don't know a lot about it because when you try to ask my grandparents,
they don't talk.
Like
the ones who talk.
Know.
Because I'm fascinated by it because I've got a little bit of Irish in me. Don't know much about it than that, but I love to read the history in that. And everything I hear, the guys who are in the pub and they're mouthing off about their IRA connections and that, generally have some dude just walk up to them, have a quiet word in their ear. You see their face go even whiter than an Irish person normally can be. And then they just stop fucking talking because it's one of those things, even to this day, you still don't talk about it.
Yeah, it can be I guess a touchy subject at times and stuff.
Understandably.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we had family members in it. Don't know much about it, even still to this day. I don't think I know everything. Found out a little bit last summer when I was back home for a funeral. That my great grandfather was involved in it and stuff like that. But again, still don't know a whole lot about it. There could be a lot more. There probably is, but yeah. So
some things are best left. You don't poke the bear too much. Just okay, yep. We'll just
it's good to
that
know.
little guy. We don't worry about that little guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Super Troopers reference there for anyone who doesn't get that one.
I didn't get it. I'll be honest.
It's one of my favorite lines. They're at the range and they're shooting, and he has one shot that's off. He's like, "That little guy. You don't need to worry about that little guy." Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, did you always imagine leaving Ireland one day? Was it a dream or just something that you'd never really even considered?
When I was younger, not really. I guess when I came into my probably mid to late teenage years, it was like, you kind of wanted to travel. America was always a big, like, a lot of Irish go to America, right? So America was like, kind of like, oh, that'd be cool. But of course, there's no point going out there if you have no reason. Like, you can go out there for a holiday, but like, you're not going to move out there if you have nothing set up, I guess, right, in a way. And but no, for the most part, no, I never really imagined moving away. It was only after lockdowns and stuff like that, you realize like how bad the job market is, that like all of my friends that I knew had either emigrated to Australia or Canada. There was no one left and I was the only one left. And you get an opportunity like this and, you can say no and stay behind and see if you can get something, or you take it. And at the time, it was definitely the right thing to take. And even now, like, I still talk to my parents and they're like, yeah, you made the right choice, because there is the lack of jobs and stuff and everything like that is just very bad at the moment. So
Yeah,
it was a good
the
decision.
economy is quite tough over there, as it is in so many countries. Even here in Australia, mate. I don't know what your family or your friends who live here are saying, but things aren't great here either economically. It's a very, very bizarre world we're living in without wasting time talking about current affairs too much. But
yeah, definitely, it's crazy.
So when this job opportunity came up, what was your first reaction?
Shocked, I guess.
Because was it when we were at Frostline that you found out that Scotty was interested?
Yeah. That was when
Because I remember our conversation, and you had a smile on your face, but you were kind of shocked, and like, I didn't probe too much. I don't like to probe that, but I didn't know whether you went over there knowing that Scotty was going to ask you, or whether it happened while you were there. So already you were on a high for being invited to the Frostline Lords, and then they dropped that bomb on you as well.
Yeah, that was an insane, weekend. You go over there to, number one, you'd never think that making some YouTube videos would get you invited out to an event, let alone
100%.
Yeah, a job offer then as well. And they
particularly
said
you and I, we were both, we're both relatively niche, sort of smallish channels. We were doing a show together, and to get invited, that was already insane to us both. Yeah. We were very excited. Some people were taking it in their stride per se, and maybe expected a bit more, whereas you and I were just kind of like, it's the fucking coolest shit ever, man.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, it was deadly. And so it was shock and excitement. That was definitely it. It was, had no idea what was going to happen. They were like, "Oh, we're interested. Would you be?" And I was like, "Yeah."
So when did they ask you? When you first arrived, or when we were out?
I think it was when we were out at one of the pubs at one stage, and the conversation got going that way. And they were like, "Oh, would you be interested?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd be interested." And they were like, "Okay, we'll leave you know." And then they did. So here I am. And it was like there wasn't much talk about it then. It was just like, hey, this is an idea. If you're interested, we'll leave you know in further time, because there was a position becoming available. And I was like, yeah. And so I guess my name got put down on that list of potential people.
So who did you tell first?
I think I told you.
I thought you were going to say that, because it wasn't really like you could pick the phone up and that straight away.
No,
I think you told me quite quickly afterwards. Maybe I was at the pub that night or something as well.
Everybody was, I think, yeah.
And because you looked a bit shell shocked when you were telling me.
Yeah, but I think it was only you I told, because I know you could keep a secret. So it was like, oh well,
keep a secret, keep it safe,
right? So I was like, oh. Yeah, and I guess I needed to tell somebody, because I was so shocked. I was like, did I hear that right, kind of thing? You know what I mean? And
I remember I was over that moon happy for you, mate. I was like, fucking well done, buddy.
And then I don't remember when I told my parents. I don't know if I messaged them or like that weekend, or if I waited until I got back. Because I know, like, if I was to message them, they'd be wanting every single bit of info then and there. And I wasn't really wanting to talk to them at that stage. I was enjoying my weekend. But yeah, I think it was you. I don't think I told anybody else. And then when I got home, then I told like family and my brother and stuff like that.
And what was their reaction?
They were also shocked, I guess. My brother
probably didn't think that silly little hobby was ever going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
You're wasting time playing those stupid fucking video games. They'll never get you fucking anywhere.
Literally. Yeah. I was like, well, if you're not working on a farm, in a construction site, or in a factory, what are you doing? There's no other opportunities. And I guess there was, they saw that eventually then, and obviously they changed, because they were always against like playing video games. They never saw the purpose of it. I guess it's not part of their, that generation doesn't really. Some of them do, obviously, but most, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And
they're probably about the same sort of age as me, though. I'm going to guess, because like I'm 25 years older than you.
Yeah, they're in their 50s. Well, 50s now anyway. Like, yeah, so it was kind of like like what the hell? And they were obviously happy as well, because they were like, I had nothing else going for me in Ireland, so it was like, hey, well, why not take the opportunity? And my brother was over the moon, because he still plays DayZ to this day and stuff, and he'd played it with me back in the alpha days, 10 years ago and stuff, and so to him it was really cool. And
what was the reaction in the community where you live, like when people found out you were?
I didn't tell anyone.
No?
I didn't tell anyone. I even told like my parents. I was like, because I don't like. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird, but I don't like people knowing what I'm up to. You know what I mean? Like I had.
And nothing wrong with that, mate. Too many
when I
people air
was
everything, and
when I was younger and had situations going, everybody knew everything about what was happening, and so from that, then I was kind of put off about people, sharing info, and so I didn't tell anyone. And even when, like, I obviously told my grandfather as well, who I was, who had raised me pretty much most of my teenage years and stuff like that, along with my grandmother, and he was the most proud. He was over the moon, and he was as happy as you could be. And he obviously, grandparents, they love talking about and praising. So he told everyone, there's no telling him. So he told everyone. So I was like, look, he's happy. I'm not gonna say no. But they don't. I don't think even today, like my parents fully understand what exactly it is I do. I just say I'm in marketing because anything trying to explain to them what I do is like trying to draw blood from a stone. So I just don't even bother.
Yeah.
And
we're going to get more about what your actual job is very shortly, but I imagine that would be a bit of a struggle. So, what was the hardest part for you about saying yes to the job?
I don't think there was any hard part, to be 100% honest. I had nothing going for me. I was in Ireland with no job opportunities, no education, living in a moldy, cold apartment in the city, bit down. The only thing I had going for me was my YouTube channel. Otherwise than that, I really had nothing else. So there was no hard parts about going. I guess it was even family and stuff like that. But,
nerves of moving to for you, it wasn't so bad because the Republic of Ireland is part of the EU. So that made it a lot easier. But still no nerves about moving to a country where English is not the primary language?
A little bit nervous, of course. You have your normal nerves, a little bit stressed because, like, especially the moving process, moving out of my apartment, having to pretty much get rid of everything. I've one small plastic box back home, my parents, with like some belongings in it, like some DayZ collectible stuff and stuff like that. And everything else I sold, I got rid of. But it was a lot of excitement, some nerves, I guess is obvious, right? And I was just kind of excited to see where it would go. And I guess parents were the same way. I guess, don't think they were too nervous. Once I had all my affairs in order, they were more excited than anything, for me to be able to have these opportunities. And the worst part was probably leaving my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the worst out of it all because he was sick at the time. He would eventually get more sick. And you're kind of leaving going like, this could be the last to the second last to the third last time you could see him. And that was the worst part. And like leaving the grandparents' house, which had been my home, like, my home for years and stuff, that was rough. That was the hardest part for sure. But everything else was pretty smooth sailing.
That is a hard thing. Like, thankfully, not thankfully per se, but when I left home as a young lad, when I went to join the army, I couldn't wait to go because my nana, a bit like yourself, I had a mother and father, but my nana was the one that raised me until she sadly passed away when I was 15. So for me, leaving to go just only to the other side of Australia, but still, Australia's a big fucking country. I had basically nothing that really tied me back home. So I can imagine, like, if my nana had been alive, just how hard that would have been to have left her. But there comes a day when baby bird has to leave the nest, doesn't it? Isn't there?
You have to go. You do have to go. And it all worked out. It was tough, but he was also a little bit tech savvy, even in his 80s. So like he would, I was after moving here and stuff, and he'd FaceTime you and stuff like that, and every day without fail, and so that was good. Technology definitely,
is he still alive?
No, he passed away in June.
Was that the funeral that you went for?
That was the funeral I was at, and had to miss the Badlands event and stuff. That happened 2 days beforehand. So of course, that was, of course, I was not going to stay, here and not go back for that. So
And from what I remember you saying as well, like, because that was right when Badlands was about to happen, and Scotty was just like, "We'll see you when you get back, mate."
So
that was amazing of them.
That was great as well. Like, we were taking screenshots for Badlands. We were still doing some prep work. We started taking some screenshots that day. It was lunchtime. I was literally putting my lunch in the microwave to heat it up. I get a call from my father, and he usually rings in like, the evenings and stuff like that. And like, this was midday. I'm like, oh, okay. And at this stage, my grandfather had been in hospital for months. I went home the Christmas before to see him, and like, he was we knew it was going to happen at some stage, and he was put into a nursing home a few months before it happened. And when I saw the phone come up and it was midday, I was like, something, and then you get it and you're like, oh shit. But no, Scotty was great that way. It was, went to him, told him, and even though we were in the middle of stuff, he was like, drop everything and just go. If you need any help, do you need help getting to the airport or anything like that? And went home, booked flights, and I flew out the following morning then.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great that way.
He made it to his 80s though, mate. So that's a pretty decent fucking innings for anyone.
Yeah, certainly is.
Especially for someone, born back all that time ago. That's right around World War II time.
It was in the 40s,
yeah. So that's a pretty decent fucking inning. So he should be quite proud of that. Did it hit you emotionally when you actually left? You talked a little bit about that, but that culture shock and
a little bit, but see, it was kind of good for us because 2 months prior we had been there.
Yeah.
For the Frostline event, so that like really helped. You kind of knew the area a little bit, but we have a relocation specialist as well that works BI, and they're extremely helpful. So we got a company accommodation for a few months, everything like that, and
they're amazing like that. I still remember the experience with them, like a few little hiccups here and there, but they really do everything they can to help you.
Yeah, so like they were very helpful, helped me set up a new phone number, bank, everything. So like, they were very helpful that way. And then you just the biggest issue was obviously the language barrier, but even still you get away with the minimum kind of check and English as well. So it's not that difficult, and obviously stuff like Google Translate, which is great. So yeah, it wasn't too much of a culture shock, thankfully.
Did you check language speaking skills coming along?
Oh, it's brutal. It's shocking. It's so bad. It's considered one of the most complicated languages in the world, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. So yeah, it's especially when like I only know English. We did learn Irish when in school, but as it was mandatory, obviously. But I couldn't speak a word of it if I tried. As an English-speaking person, it's extremely difficult to learn. If you're from the kind of Slavic countries, that know a bit of it, it's easier to learn. But yeah, as an English-speaking person, it is very difficult. But the basics, so
What do you miss the most about Ireland, other than family?
Not the weather, anyway. Jesus, it's so bad. That's a good question. I was thinking about that recently.
What's one of the first things you do whenever you do go home? Obviously, the last time it sounds like you went home for the funeral, so probably not greatest. But how many times have you been home since started the job?
Twice so far. It was the Christmas.
That first time, what was one of the first things you did other than see family? Was there a shop you wanted to go to, something you wanted to eat, something you wanted to see, something you wanted to do?
Yeah, it was probably food. I remember we would have been coming down. My father would have collected me at the airport, so we would have came down. And in the service stations and the gas stations on the motorways, there's these delis where you can get food, hot or cold food. And yeah, I got like a chicken roll from there basically and stuff like that. And some of the food you do miss for sure, but most of it you can kind of get here in certain ways and stuff. And there's a lot of Irish bars around as well.
Have you found a good bakery yet? Have you found a good bakery yet? Because that was the thing that I struggled the most with. They just didn't seem to sell fresh bread anywhere. Like fresh baked bread.
Yeah, the Tesco's have fresh baked bread daily. So that's why
I must have missed that, because when I was in there looking for it, I just couldn't find it fucking anywhere.
Yeah,
bread rolls and
but yeah, they have all that there. Yeah, so I
Mhm.
actually just got some this morning when I woke up for later on. So yeah, but again, just being Irish is an Irish bar everywhere in the world, right? So if you really crave like a certain Irish food, you just go to one of those in Old Town or something like that and get your fix. So there isn't too much I miss, to be honest. I thought I would even be like, remember my parents asking like, "Are you homesick?" And I'm like, not really, because you know what, the quality of life so far has been better here than it was back home. So
yeah.
you know, I've been lucky that way so
The cost
far.
of living there in Prague blew me away. Like just how affordable a lot of stuff was. Obviously, that also entails pay rates. We're not going to go into that, obviously, but it was so much cheaper
Yeah, yeah,
for so many things by comparison to back here in Australia. And I know Ireland's quite similar economically as well. A lot of
very
taxes
expensive.
and
Yeah, very
yeah.
very expensive. That was one of the things. Yeah, so definitely a bit cheaper for sure. And yeah, but thankfully nothing. I don't miss too much at the moment. Food would probably be the biggest thing, but yeah, nothing that comes to mind at the moment, apart from family, obviously. But
Yeah.
they can always just get on a plane and visit, so it's not that difficult either. You know, it's close, so it's good.
So has living in Prague changed you much as a person, do you reckon?
I guess so. I'm a less anxious person that I was when I was living in Ireland, you know, because you have to do a lot of things, you know, yourself and get out there and stuff. Still quite unsociable, but that is slowly changing bit by bit. But yeah, I guess it's overall it's been good. Definitely changed in some ways and changing more and more every day, I think, as well. Get more confidence and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, so now we are going to focus a bit more on the job that you currently have.
Okay.
What is your job title?
Well, it is community manager. That is the job title.
For those who don't understand it, what does a community manager at Bohemia Interactive actually do?
Okay.
Other than
Well,
get abused on the internet.
apart from that, we reply to your DMs. So if you DM us on Twitter or Instagram, it's usually either me or one of us in the marketing team replying to them.
And how many of you are there?
There's for the DayZ marketing team, there's 4 of us in total.
Is that including Scotty?
That's including Scotty.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's 4 of us in total. So answering DMs, monitoring our socials, keeping an eye out on any feedback that comes in the game in general, or in especially during updates and stuff like that. And then that info is passed on to the team. Like if there's an issue or something, we'll pass it on or stuff like that. Answering a lot of questions, you know, general ones. One of the biggest ones at the moment is going to be a wipe at 129. Answering stuff like that. Creating brain rot meme content to post on TikTok. That's one of the tasks. Live streaming is another one as well.
That was something that, from what I recall, was one of the things that they were quite interested in you for, wasn't it? It was to increase the exposure like that, because they weren't really doing it that frequently before. Whereas that's been a staple of your new job, isn't it?
Yeah, especially live streams. It wasn't. It was only, they only kind of live streamed when there was an update, and we haven't done it much this year. But yeah, it was to like last year we done, I think it was like 40 live streams or something in the year, which is a lot more than previously when it would have been like 16 or less, like maybe 10 or so before I joined. But we haven't done too many this year. We're getting a new PC for the streaming room, so hopefully that'll be here this week, maybe next week at the latest. So getting a few little upgrades there, and yeah, we should be going again. But yeah, live streaming is definitely one. Increasing that, doing more than just update stuff, interacting a lot more with the community, whether it's getting different streamers to come on and play, checking out different servers, different mods, and doing stuff like that, and just overall interacting with the community, creating engagement posts as well, like the
feedback tracker is for nerds.
That as well. God, don't get me started. But creating engagement like the recent
I
one.
actually sell a feedback tracker is for nerds mug on my website, folks. Link in the description.
I get 0 commission for that, by the way, so don't bother. 0 commission. Didn't even ask me if I wanted it. So there you go.
I couldn't resist it, mate. Especially at the reaction from some folks about it. Like, we'll come to controversy a bit later, but oh my god, I couldn't resist it, and it's more there just as a meme. The same as the Mike Doherty mug, the sippy cup,
the sippy
Mike's
cup.
sippy cup, yeah. I'm just a cunt like that. I'm sorry, folks, but if you fuck up, I'm going to make sure it's memorialized. I fuck up all the time, and they're all memorialized as well. So I thought that was hilarious as well. It was a good joke, and because you're not exactly known for being a comedian either. Someone like Archie, you would totally expect him to drop something like that, but you do. But they're very discreet, very kind of. Low impact, subtle, and I think a lot of people just miss it because, anyway,
that they do.
So, how much of your time is internal versus public facing?
Public, internal is a lot more than public.
Yeah.
Well, I guess public facing, I would say, is like being on a live stream or being in a video or answering questions and stuff like that. That's what I would consider public facing, and then the rest of like answering DMs and stuff like that, because that's anonymous. Nobody knows it's either me or someone else answering them, unless we attach our name to it. But yeah, majority of it is internal versus public for sure.
Yeah. And how involved are you in development conversations?
In development conversations, not really. No, that's like for leads and upper management and stuff like that, and what's get added and stuff like that. Like the most we'll get involved is like when an update comes out, feedback. A certain dev might come to us about a feature that they've added, and they're like, "Hey, what's been the thing on this?" And we'll give the community's feedback on what they're saying, and then depending on that feedback, something might get changed, something might stay the way it is, might get reverted. That's about as much as I go into it when it comes to, like development decisions, I guess.
So that answers the next question. What decisions can you influence and what decisions are completely out of your hands? Well, that's completely out of your hands, but what sort of influence do you guys have?
I don't get to make any decisions on what gets added to the game or what not. That is not for me to do. That is for other people that are in the position to make those things.
You just provide the feedback. Don't shoot the messenger.
We simply just provide the feedback. I am a connection between the community and the devs and vice versa. And that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? They'll ask some opinions every once in a while, especially because like you play the game, a lot as well. So they might start a conversation. But when it comes to deciding anything or this gets implemented or that doesn't, or this or that change makes it in and that doesn't, totally out of my control.
I do love when the classic of because you are one of the most public facing of the community team and you do your streams, and it's like maybe if you were fixing fucking the map, and it's like you guys do realize he's a marketing monkey. If you were to put him in and tell him to fix the map, we would end up with fucking stick men.
You would end up with no map. Does. You know what I mean? It would break that much.
It's one of those. Tell me you're a fucking retard without telling me you're a retard. If you can't understand that different people have different jobs within a team, it's just, I get it. They're emotional, and you should always appreciate them. But you try to shake your head, get those two things in there to knock together, the two brain cells you got left, buddy, and you might realize just how stupid you are saying what you're saying. But what's the biggest misconception players have about your role?
That I make decisions for everything. Literally.
I kind of figured that was going to be it.
It's like, ever since you joined, the game's gone downhill. Pure coincidence. If you're thinking that. I have no control over what happens with the game. Seriously don't. You know what I mean? It's like when 129 got delayed, I think it was like for the second time or whatever. It was like, why don't you tell us more about, even when it comes to communicating stuff, like, I don't run all the socials either. There's a team of us. Everything, goes through stuff. It's like we have to wait on approval from producers and leads, and we have to clear stuff with them, or we're like, if it's sharing info, we have to go through and make sure we talk to Scotty, and Scotty will say, no, we have to wait a little bit longer, or yes, we can finally do this stuff. We can only do
if it was up to you, you'd love to tell people everything. But
of course, if I had all the info and was able to just give it all out straight away, I would. Sometimes that'd be great, but there's processes and how everything is done, and you have to follow them and so on.
How much pressure comes from inside the studio versus from the community? This is about you specifically with your role.
No, the pressure comes from the community, I think.
Yeah.
It's very laid back in the studio 99% of the time. There are schedules in place, and sometimes obviously these schedules get interrupted and stuff, but everything, we know what's happening ahead of time and stuff like that. Everything's usually worked out in advance and stuff like that. There's no real pressure. Now, sometimes there can be, we're like, oh, hey, this is happening now instead of when it was meant to happen, so we have to cram weeks worth of work into 2 days. But that's also rare that happens. You know what I mean? So no, a lot of pressure comes from the community for sure.
Yeah. Did you feel imposter syndrome stepping into this role?
Yeah. It was very weird at first. It was very, very weird. You feel like you don't belong there. You're like, whoa, wait, like, what am I doing on like this side of the fence? You know what I mean? Yeah, it
especially with no background in it as well. It would have been it was a massive learning curve for you, because other than doing your videos and doing the podcast, you didn't, as you said, you didn't have any knowledge of the gaming industry. You'd never even considered it as a job, so it wasn't something you were actively looking into. And then Scotty over a beer says this to you, and the next thing you're living there and you're like, holy shit, bro, what am I? Yeah. Did you actually, before you started, say to Scotty, what am I going to be doing?
What does this job do? I had a fair idea of what I was going to be doing. That was all like kind of in interviews and stuff that was already laid out. So I knew what I was getting into, and there wasn't much of a learning curve, to be honest. Obviously you learn some stuff, but like, when it came to posting and stuff like that, it was fairly regular to what you were already doing. It's like, when a post goes out, make sure you're replying to comments and stuff like that. I was already doing that when, you'd upload a video and the first thing you'd do is be replying to comments. You just answer questions.
And you were always more reserved as well. Like, with people who followed the podcast for ages, you look at me on social media versus Mark's on social media. And yes, even though you've had a couple of clangers that have really made the people grab their pitchforks and want to go after you, for the most part, you're very PG. You don't get involved in drama per se. You don't create drama knowingly. Sometimes, but again, that's just the DayZ community. That's any community, though. But for the most part, you are very. You do think about almost everything you do. Not everything, but the majority of the time. And and hey, look. We know even back before you started on the podcast, even Scotty loves to poke the bear a bit with some of his tweets and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, if anything, you were maybe a bit reserved for what they usually have been going for of late.
Definitely, yes. There was a thing there of like, like, should you reply to this comment? You're like a little bit nervous in a way, even though people don't know it's you necessarily replying to them, via the DayZ account or whatever. Sometimes like that was the learning curve of like, okay, you're free to, reply to this stuff and do that and interact because that's the job. But now it's not an issue, but more reserved. But again, a few weeks afterwards or a few months afterwards, you get into a rhythm, and it worked out quite well.
Yep. When did it feel real that you were officially representing DayZ?
When did it feel real? Probably when I probably would have been on one of the first live streams. I would have said like the update live streams or something like that. Like you're sitting there in this, you're sitting there in the streaming studio. You've either Scotty or Adam to your right, and you're talking about the game, and usually you're on the other side of it. But now like people are asking you the questions, you're showing them what's coming. yeah, that's when you kind of know as well. And also, I guess when people started asking me specific questions about the game on my own YouTube video comments, I guess, you know what I mean? That's when you're like, oh yeah, even though this is like, you know, my personal channel, you now also have this responsibility of answering, you know, specific game related questions, I guess you could say, which I don't mind doing. It's still something I do to this day. But yeah, is it that? And, you know, you realize when you're like on the dev streams, you look back at it and go, oh, you know, a few months ago, I would have been watching these. And now like I'm in control of it all. It's very weird. But that's when you kind of realize, I guess. And I guess when, I guess that really is kind of it.
What surprised you most about how the studio actually operates, other than that epic coffee machine they have?
Yeah, the coffee machine. I don't drink coffee, so I haven't actually tried it, but from what everybody else says, it's good. I don't know what surprised me most. I don't know what I was expecting, so I don't know if I was really surprised by anything. You know that way? Like we had obviously been in the office again during the Frostline event, so you kind of got a little vibe of like how it works. Even though we didn't have access to all areas, we still kind of, you know, it was like a very chill kind of environment. Yeah, I don't know if there was anything that like caught me by surprise or that I was surprised about. I don't think so. Not that I can think of at the top of my head, anyway.
Yeah. So we're now into the interesting section, mate. Controversy and public pressure.
Oh, great.
Did you expect much backlash when you first started the job?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Care to elaborate, or you don't want to elaborate for fear of incriminating yourself?
No, I think it was kind of no. I think any creator who already had a following going into that role would have gotten backlash no matter what from, you know, anyone. But yeah, it's to be expected that you would. You know what I mean? And we got it for sure. So my expectations came true. But yeah.
How did it feel seeing people question your legitimacy for the role? Because I know you and I had some conversations back then, but there was some fairly fucking nasty things said.
Yeah, even from some well-known people in the community as well. Yeah, that was a bit, you know, you kind of take it to heart a little bit and you like kind of second guess yourself and doubt yourself. But, you know, you have conversations with people like Scotty, for example, and he'd be like reassuring that like, hey, you know, this is, you know,
I would like to apologize to you, though, because I do feel that I was responsible for some of that just by me, purely being me, and people not able to let go of shit and not realize that you're your own person. And, you know, like I said before, by comparison to me, you're very milquetoast. You're very, you know, PG kind of person. But because you did a show with me for all those years, I do think that a lot of the hate that you copped was because of me. And for that, I want to say sorry. But
maybe
you know, I am what I am.
I didn't feel that way, that it was because of being on a podcast with you.
The reason I say that,
I never noticed it that way, but
the reason I say that, mate, is because I can't understand, other than if it's jealousy, I can't understand why people would have thought that about you. Because, like I said, I think you're personally great for the role. Yeah, you've got a deep passion for the game. You were doing videos about stuff that no one else was really doing at the time, and that's what helped you blow up. And you helped stuff blow up as well. You know, Rearm blew up in a big way for a video you did, for example. And that was the only thing I could put it down to, other than jealousy, or that's that prick who was on that show with Boydy. Fuck him.
Well, it was also like the update community, because there was a few channels that were making update-related videos. I was one of them, and there was others. And communities from others felt like these other update channels were better for the role than I was, per se. You know what I mean? That's where a lot of it came from for me. You can look at it on comments and stuff, but that's where it was. It was like, wasn't necessarily because of doing a podcast with you or anything like that. It was from these update, because, you know, at the time there was, I won't mention names or anything, but like there was 3, maybe 4 channels in total that were doing update related videos. Every time an update would come out, everybody was kind of sharing the same information. Everybody was usually battling to get their video out
there was
first.
that great tweet someone did. Yeah, the race to be the first to get Wobo at the gate, and I think Amish did that one.
I think it was Amish. Yeah.
He's good at having those little jokes like that. That one of me and the Running Man was still hilarious, but yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, it was these update communities that came after me. It wasn't anything else. It was like,
but from what I recall, I don't think any of those people applied for the job.
No, and it wasn't like none of them sent their people after me or whatever. It's just people, I guess there was competition against everybody, and this community didn't like that I got it instead of their favorite person, and so they came after me. And you can see it in the comments. Like I took down the video even announcing that I was, got the role, because it was just brutal at one point. And it's still done. It won't ever go back up. But it was the update community side. I think that's where the majority of the like hate and drama came from. With
so bizarre. People are so bizarre with their tribalism like that. It's the only thing you should be like that about is bloody football and sport.
And I want to mention there as well that it was none of the other update creators had anything to do with it. It was just communities found out and done this and stuff like that because the person they watched, didn't get it instead of me. And that's fine. I understand it now looking back at it. I'm like, that makes sense that they didn't get it. But none of those creators had any involvement in sending any hate my way or anything like that. I'm not saying that just in case people take it out of context. It was just, there was so much competition between those channels at that time. And it was during the time of lockdown where the game was at its peak in terms of players. Viewership was at its peak because everybody was at home. It was a mental time, and
I've seen it before. They were creators. I really want to make sure we hit that point home. That it wasn't the creators sending people out, but I've seen it before with other drama per se online, and the content creators have had to tell their communities, guys, you don't need to be fucking acting on my behalf. If I've got an issue with something, I will say it. Don't think I ever give you permission to talk on my behalf. It's just. Yeah, that says more about you as a person or as a viewer than it does about me as a creator.
It was the same when we got to announce that we were going to the Frostline event and we were sent those ammo crates, and I'd done the unboxing video. It was the exact same then. It was like the communities who watched other people, again, were like saying like, well, my person was better and should have been invited instead and so on like that. And again, nobody was sending people my way. It was just because the communities were... Everybody, it was just such fierce competition. It was insane.
We're on to the big one, mate.
Oh no.
The feedback tracker is for nerds comment.
That it is.
So for those who have a life and don't know what the fuck we're talking about, give us the backstory.
I had made a post about the AUG A1.
And this was fairly early in your job, wasn't it?
I wasn't hired at this stage.
Oh, okay.
It was years before. And I think the AUGs had only...
I'm getting confused. Yeah, I'm getting confused.
The AUGs had only recently been released. I think it might have been an update or two beforehand. And the AUG A1 was spawning in convoys, but I always felt like it wasn't the best weapon. Like there could have been a better weapon spawning at convoys instead, because I was taught the convoys, like that's where the best loot spawns, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I was like, and I made a post saying, it'd be nice to have the AUG A1 spawning like in Zelenogorsk or something to be a competitor to say the M16 or something like this. And someone was and I was just I put it out as a tweet saying like, what does everybody else think? And they were like, oh well, why don't you put on the feedback tracker? And I was like, well, sure, the feedback tracker is for nerds, as a joke. And they screenshotted it and made it serious and tried to get me fired over it. So then when I got the job, so that was great. And that was it. That was literally it. Because even like it was a joke that clearly somebody didn't take as a joke for whatever reason. And yeah, it was like, I always done that before. It was like, I have this thing I want to talk about, more of a discussion. I think this should be here. What does everybody else in the community think? People took it out of context, and that was it. And like even then, like the feedback tracker was always linked in the description of my videos. Still is to this day. You can check. And they took it out of context. And then when I got
even on the podcast,
hired,
mate, I remember the amount of times we told people, even though we would say there's issues with the feedback tracker, but it is still the place to go to post feedback. Hence the name.
Yeah. Yeah. And I meant that as like feedback trackers for nerds as a joke. And nobody took it as, serious. Or like, I guess nobody like, what's what I'm trying to say is like, it was a joke.
Yeah.
Nobody made nothing of it. Nobody cut it, but one person screenshotted it, kept it. I know who it is. I know who he's like, whose community he's a part of. But and then just like posted it everywhere. But of course, DayZ didn't care, And then I get hired, and in the first week I get hired, there's a feedback tracker ticket comes in with that screenshot that they want to try and get me fired because I had made this post. I get reached out to by people in things, and they were like, "Hey, what's this about?" And I'm like, "This happened years ago. I have the feedback tracker linked to my things and all that." And they were like, "Okay, yeah, bit it off. It's fine." And that was it.
The pettiness of some people just knows no bounds, mate. Like that one, I remember when it happened, and it blew me away because it upsets you a bit. I remember that. But I guess that's just one of those things because you are still a young guy and you don't realize just how petty some people can be until they do something like that to you personally.
Because that like first, it wasn't might have been the first week, but it was like in the first couple of weeks of being there. And like you were already getting enough hate from like the announcement video saying that, you've gotten the thing and now somebody else is going out and putting this stuff here to try and get you removed from the job. And there was other DMs like, and other people were giving out, and was that first few weeks to even like month or two was rough personally because there was just so much negativity around it, I guess, when I got hired first. But thankfully it's changed now, which is good.
A throwaway comment that actually has some validity as well, because I remember talking about this a while back as well. Nerds are the best people to use the feedback tracker because it is quite complicated. It's not a simple process. It's not just to leave your feedback. You've got to select different things in that. And as I said, the people who are what you would classify as a nerd generally are the ones leaving the best feedback because they're passionate about the game and they're leaving good quality, not just fix your shit's broken. Fucking stupid game. Give me all my money back. That's not feedback. That's just you being a wanker. So, it's a joke, and it fucking some people just need to get a sense of humor is where I land on that. But, yeah.
I'm living, the best way somebody described it to me is, in this economy, I'm living rent-free in their heads.
Yes, I love that saying myself.
So, it's like, okay.
Has that changed how you communicate publicly?
Not really.
I'd be surprised if you said yes, because we've seen some of the stuff that the DayZ account posts, and sometimes it goes a bit too far. But
it does.
But for the most part, one of the things I love is that the DayZ account isn't afraid to have a bit of a laugh here and there.
Yeah. Like especially for personal posts, like you'll see in my bio, like it's my personal accounts are my personal accounts. They're not the voice of. All opinions are my own, right? And you're kind of told to, and anybody in the kind of gaming industry or stuff that has personal accounts with a bit of a following is told to put these things in their bios just, to clear things up. And so, no, I don't feel restricted. I can do what I want on my own things. I don't post that much anyway. I never really did like post a lot or should post a lot. It's not really something I care for. But yeah, and for the DayZ thing, the people like when like an account is not just all serious and stuff like that, and can take a little bit of a joke or stuff like that. And of course, sometimes it goes too far, but most of the time, you have to.
A lot of people don't understand that Central Eastern European culture either. They're not like the West per se. They are. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm quite meaning, go have a look at Marek Spaniel's Twitter account. The man does not hold back on anything. If he's got a view on something, he will say what his view is. They are very direct, very forthright, and they're quite. It's quite refreshing for someone like myself personally. That So a comment like the feedback tracker is for nerds would barely even register as something spicy for Bohemia as a company overall. It'd be like, wait, what? Murex had some pretty spicy tweets himself, and I doubt that something like that from before you were even working for them is going to bother them in the slightest.
So
what's been the toughest criticism you've had to sit with? We'll go with a genuine one. What's one that actually hit and you thought, yeah, that is kind of right. Actually, I need to...
Don't know. There hasn't been any like bad ones. It's like, oh, you're shit. X person would do this job better than you.
That's bullshit. That's not criticism.
Like,
that's just
beat a dick. No, genuine criticism, I don't think, or if there has been any, I don't really remember off the top of my head. But there hasn't been like genuine criticism where you're sitting there going like, oh shit, I have to rethink my life now because. No, I don't think that's been a thing. Thankfully not yet. Anyway, might change now, but who knows?
Do you read often what people say about you?
No. Sometimes you'll catch it like you'll be scrolling Reddit or something through comments and you'll catch a stray or something like that. You know what I mean? But no, I don't go out of my way looking for it. You only read about it sometimes if you bump into it. But
I love it when someone posts something for me because I just sit there and think, you really think I fucking care? And I have some fun with it. I just copped one the other day. Oh my God, you're still doing this shit. How fucking tragic. Get a job. And I'm like, wow, okay. Guitar lessons first. Ricky Gervais guitar lessons skit. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. But secondly, it's like, bro, I'm fucking on a military pension. I've got a sugar mama. I'm living my best life. I'm having fun, and I do this because I'm passionate about it. It's my hobby. So what the actual fuck, mate? It's like...
Yeah, I got one recently as well where it was like... ever since you joined the game, it's been going downhill. This was on my... I did a video recently talking about the kind of current gen upgrades that are coming for Xbox and PlayStation down the road. So I've been given all the info because there was a lot of misinformation, I guess, or confusion as well. So I was like, here's a video on it. And it did well. And there was one comment was like, yeah, you've gone down, or like it's... the game's gone downhill ever since you were a terrible hire and stuff like this. You should quit. And the running mans would do a better job than you would. I'm like, okay. He probably would, to be honest. He's greater than me. So yeah, probably. But he gets shit like that all the time. It's like, oh, this person will do it better than you. Or ever since you've joined, the game's gone downhill. And it's like, I don't make these decisions. I apologize for the game gone downhill. But if that's what you think, but I don't have that. But I just sent him back a clown face emoji and then banned him. So there you go.
How do you protect your mental health in a job like this? What do you guys do as a team?
Yeah, it's something that is quite important because
you can't go out and get rip-roaring drunk because you're not a drinker. So you must have other things you do.
Yeah, I get it's tricky because especially when we have to deliver bad news, like, hey, this update's delayed again. Like, it's happened sometimes with 129. And like, you'll have to make a post, you apologize and stuff. And most people are like, yeah, sure. But like the comments that come in and you're just like, wow, sometimes like you just have to kind of switch it off. I just, and you have to be careful with how much comes in because it's not just me, like it's the entire team gets affected by this stuff. So you have to monitor stuff. If somebody's being constantly abusive or sending bad things towards you and like all this stuff, like the mute and the block button is there for a reason. And we try to balance everything that like, some people are frustrated. So they're going to say, a bad thing every once in a while. That's totally understandable.
Yeah.
But if you're just, if it's every post that we make, no matter what, and you're just handling abuse or you're handling abuse to other people in the community just because they're commenting on a thing, the block and stuff like that has to be done into. But once you get home, like you just kind of switch off. You don't go near the socials if you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best you can do for right now.
if you're wondering why I'm looking around, I've got my dog in here with me, and I'm just making sure he's not behind me when I roll my chair. Oh, he's just come up to me to give me, hey, Dad, I'm here. Give me a pat. Have you ever seriously questioned whether the job was worth taking?
I've questioned it once or twice, like, when all the negativity is coming in, especially with the 129 period where it's, gets delayed or something like that, and you're just getting constant stuff, and you're at the end of the day, you've just been dealing with nothing but bad reactions all day and this and that, and you just think like, what did I get myself into? You do get that from time to time, but usually, switch off, come home, have a drink, have a good night's sleep, and then you get up the following morning, you're like, okay, you reset again. And that's kind of the best you could do. But yeah, sometimes you consider it not like seriously to the point where you're like, okay, I'm quitting, but like you go like, Jesus, like, it's rough. But
I always find money's a great motivator, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like my paycheck. I could take a lot. I could take a lot as long as I get my paycheck each week or fortnight or whatever they pay you guys monthly. I don't know, but yeah,
it's monthly. Yeah.
Yep. So, how do you separate Mark's the community channel from the community manager from Mark's the creator? Because I know that's something I spoke with you early on about. How are you going to manage that? Because you're still doing your normal sort of content. And I know I said with you at the time, is there going to be a bit of a conflict of interest? Especially with, we use that great tweet, the update coming, and we got Mark's out of the gate and Wobo coming up behind, Rap Plays is coming around the bend, and all the rest of the channels are just like, it could be seen that you've got an inside advantage. How do you manage that?
Technically, I do, but I don't take advantage of having that advantage. It is very difficult to manage. That's for certain. There is no correct way to manage it, I don't think. I know, and I knew when I got the job that, hey, what I used to do with the videos, getting like the update when an update day would come out and getting the videos out there and there is not something I'm going to be able to do anymore. It's just physically not possible. Technically, I could make the videos a day or two in advance of an update coming out and schedule them to upload the second an update comes out. That is doable, but it's not something I think would be fair to other people. And so I was like, okay, well, I have to change my content a bit. Instead of being like having the update videos out an hour after an update comes out, I'm going to do different takes on them by doing either kind of gameplay stuff on them or sharing info and stuff. And I'm still learning. There's no like perfect balance for sure. You know what I mean? It's a very difficult one to
has it changed for you? Because before, when you were doing it, like you said, you didn't have a job. Now you do have a 9-to-5 job, and doing content around that. How do you find that sort of a drain on you personally? Because I really have never faced that because, as I said, I'm on a pension, and other than being a trophy husband, yes, I am. That's what my wife calls me. Go fuck yourself if you don't think I am. But I've never really had that challenge myself, whereas I know that's a big thing for a lot of other people who aren't full-time content creators, having to do their content around a 9-to-5, and you don't have a family per se.
No.
So how do you find that has changed?
That's rather difficult because you have to try and avoid burnout. You know what I mean? When so you work 8 hours on DayZ, and if you were still doing content as much as you wanted to be doing, you'd be coming home and then you'd be spending your entire evening making, a video. And if you were doing that day in and day out, you would very quickly get burnt. So
imagine being a streamer and having to get on there.
I don't know how even not working full time, I don't know how people stream 12 hours a day every day. I tip my hat to the people who do it. You have to try and find a balance. I don't play the game as much as I used to. That's for certain. I mean, you couldn't. So my videos, I do a lot less gameplay focused videos because a gameplay video, if I have something in mind, could take a week to record. So imagine coming home Monday to Friday after working 8 hours every day and then spending the next 4 to 5 hours in your evening time. Also, it's brutal. You can't. So you have to find a balance. It's very difficult. Still haven't fully found that balance yet. You try and like limit it to maybe weekends or something like that. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It is really a tricky one.
Are there things you can't say now on your personal channel? Have you ever found you self-censor yourself more now?
Not that I can't say, but that like you have to be careful with how you title videos. You know, also when like if I do a mod review, I can't now be like this mod would
DayZ needs
change
this.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah.
you can't say stuff like that, and so you have to be a bit more creative in your titles.
Can't do that one anymore.
Can't do that one anymore. Thankfully, my thumbnails have gotten a little bit better since. But,
that one's for you, Archie. That one's for you, buddy.
But yeah, it's you have to not really what I can say because I don't think there's my content really.
It hasn't changed
goes out of the
much.
box. Yeah, it hasn't changed that much, and like, yeah, okay, you can't do like the conspiracy stuff anymore, or you know, when the first Badlands teaser released, and it was like that infected running through the sand and stuff like that. Like, you know, you want to make a video on something like that because it's like, oh, that's the content creator part of you kicking in, but you realize like, yeah, you can't really because then you're just speculating on stuff, you know.
And also,
You know
regardless of the fact that you've got it in your bio, all opinions are your own. Anything you say can and will be taken as gospel. And
exactly, yeah. So I try to do, if I'm doing an informational video, it's giving the best information that I can give, and that's what I got to do. But yeah, titles are certainly something you have to be very careful on, and I do be careful. Like if there is a video that I'm wanting to do that is a little bit outside or a little bit crazier than what I usually do, like I will ask Scotty or Lynn, the marketing specialist, but like, hey, I have this idea. Is this something I can do? And they'll either go, yeah, it's fine, or they'll either go, no, can't for X, Y, and Z reasons. So I'm very careful with stuff like that. Or even if I make a video on information and stuff and I'm not 100% sure, I'll even send them the video and be like, hey, does this sound okay? What do you think? Leave me know. And if it needs changing, I'll change it and stuff like that.
Has your content tone shifted since taking the job? You talked about it a little bit, but anything else that you've changed?
Not really. I don't think so. No, the tone hasn't changed. The
frequency definitely has.
The frequency has changed, yes, 100%. I knew that was going to happen, so I was expecting that to be a thing. No, tone I don't think has changed too much. I still want to give information. I still want to give the best information I can give without, you know, leaking anything, I guess. You know, that's always something you have to be careful of. No, the frequency has definitely changed, but that's part of it, really.
Have you got a desktop yet, or are you still using a laptop?
Oh, I have a desktop. I built a PC just before the market rose and everything quadrupled in price. So I was very lucky.
Yeah,
very, very lucky.
Do you feel like you're representing the company even when you're off the clock still?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Especially in your role.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's if whether I'm replying to a comment on a DayZ Reddit post, whether I'm replying to a comment on my YouTube channel, whether I'm answering something on Discord, Twitter, yeah, 100%. All the time, you have to be. Yeah, you're representing the company whether you're on the clock or off the clock every day. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Have you ever worried that something on your personal channel could impact your job?
No, I don't.
You kind of said before you clear everything, so you're smart in that regard. You don't post and pray. I'm thinking of posting this. Maybe there could be an issue. Scotty, Lynn, check this out. You happy with that?
I'll clear it. If there's something like I was, before I met the current gen video with all the info and stuff, I mentioned it to Scotty. I was like, hey, I want to make this video. What do you think? He was like, yeah, go for it. You know, I mean, because I wasn't 100% sure, but I knew it was like more than likely no issue. But yeah, if I'm ever doubtful in any way, shape, or form, just ask. It's the best thing to do. And yeah, but no, nothing's on my channel. No, that would risk. No.
You touched on this before. You said you definitely play a lot less. Do you find it harder to just enjoy the game casually now?
No, I still play it casually every once in a while. No, I don't think.
Does it feel like work when you're playing?
No. definitely not.
It's not really your job, is it, to play the game?
No, I don't like in work. I don't play the game much. We're usually using like internal tools or something for screenshots, and that's kind of it. But like, I don't. The only time I'm playing the game
Most
mainly
you play
is
when you're streaming. Yeah,
when I'm streaming. Yeah, that's it. But you're still.
And quite often you're letting the guest star stream. Like I know Sumrak's quite a favorite to watch play the game. Sumrak and chickens.
Yeah. We'll leave a guest player, stuff like that. But like I like playing the game. You know what I mean? People like watching me play the game on the dev streams. So
who's your favorite person to play the game on stream with?
Oh, I've only played it with like.
Who did you have the most fun with? We won't ask who you had the least fun with, Sumrak. But
I don't think I've been on stream when Adam has played.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. Not when he's played. No, he was on stream with me one time, but I was playing, I think. But yeah, I think that I've only played with 3 devs. I think
it
was
and a few
Scotty,
creators.
A few creators, but it was Scotty, Martin, one of the designers, and another designer.
Martin's awesome.
Yeah, Martin's great. Yeah, he really loves doing the streams. But I think that's been it. But they're all good, to be honest. They're like they're all good. They all have their own play styles and all a bit different. You know what I mean? So none of them are bad, and they're all fairly good, to be honest.
How if a content creator would love to do a collab with you like that, how do they go about doing that?
Just DM us on Twitter. Twitter, I guess, is probably our best platform. Either Instagram or Twitter.
Yep.
DM us, and we're not. Again, the streams haven't been too much at the moment. We're waiting to get a new PC because the one we have is a little bit old, so it's struggling a bit. So once we get that, we'll start doing them again. We're also waiting for 129. So once that comes out, then there's a few collabs that we've already said yes to that we're just waiting on doing it. But yeah, just DM us, or if you have me added on Discord, just DM me on Discord. If you don't feel like DMing the DayZ account, whatever. It's the best way.
Do you miss just being another voice in the community?
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you miss being able to do like the videos, the conspiracy videos, when they tease something, being like, "Oh,
Yellow
this
King.
is happening," stuff like that.
We had a lot of fun with the Yellow King.
Yeah,
that was peak DayZ for me, with the lore side of it. Like, it's so underappreciated by a lot of people just how good that whole marketing was. Scotty and whoever helped him with that knocked it out of the park. That bit of lore, and it was one of the best times of my life around DayZ. That is, it was phenomenal, wasn't it?
It was great. That was 114, I think, wasn't it, with the gas and stuff like that? And that was brilliant. No, I don't necessarily miss just being another person, because not just from the content side, but my life in general is better in the situation that I'm in now than it was when I was just.
You're a much happier guy now. You honestly are.
By far. Yeah.
You were a mopey bastard before.
It certainly could have been. Yeah, you could certainly say it that way, to be sure. But definitely. No, so no, don't miss it as much. No. For sure.
Where do you see your personal channel fitting long term?
This is a question I ask myself every day, and I don't really know.
If you've got any ideas of stuff you'd love to see Marks do, people, leave a comment, send him a message.
Let me know.
He's always open for that. I used to send him stuff all the time as well. You should have a look at that. I think I sent you R22Rs, and you did a video on his fortifications mod too, didn't you?
More than likely. I don't know. I'm still going to be making DayZ content, that's for sure. In the way I make my DayZ content, I don't know. I'm always kind of changing and adapting, I guess. I still like doing the information videos, even if I'm not the first person to have them out. I enjoy doing them. I enjoy the way the community or my subscribers and viewers, the comments you get out of them and stuff like that, is always good. I try and provide the best and most accurate information I can, even though if I'm late with them, because I do have that, I guess, little advantage where all of the information that is going to be coming from my videos is going to be 100% accurate. So I like doing that. I do want to branch out into other things. There's some Grey Zone Warfare I'm looking into. Road to
0.4
Vostok
update
is
going live.
0.4
Jakub
update.
would love people in the DayZ community to leave their feedback on it as well. Jakub was the former, he was the predecessor to Scotty, and they're actually really good mates, and he is a devilishly handsome man as well.
They are good friends.
10 out of 10 would go gay for Jakub. He's fucking awesome.
So there's that. There's Road to Vostok is one that I've been looking at recently. It looks very interesting.
Very.
They followed me recently on Twitter, actually, so I'm interested to try that out. Dead Side has been something that's kind of I've seen a few videos on it recently, and it's kind of like, it's kind of piqued my interest a little bit. So maybe something there. I want to say in the survival genre, maybe do a little bit of extraction shooter stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of extraction shooters to begin with, so more survival than anything. DayZ will still be like the number one game, but mixing in a bit of something else every once in a while, a little bit of variety doesn't hurt. And I would definitely
you need to do it, people.
Sure.
If you're starting to get burnt out with DayZ, don't continue playing it. If you're not enjoying it, go play something else. And when you come back, you'll go, and this is why I always come back. I guarantee you, I've been there so many times. You just don't become a hater. Just walk away. If it's not doing it for you right now, it's generally more a you issue than anything else. The proof is in the numbers. The numbers are still there for DayZ. Just walk away, play something else, realize, okay, this whole genre, there's no perfect fucking game.
Never.
They all have their pros and cons.
Yep. And we're not going to get offended if a DayZ streamer goes and plays another game for a while. In some ways, it's actually a bit of a benefit because, like a few DayZ creators went to Arc Raiders. Those creators pick up some Arc Raiders fans, then they come back to DayZ, and it kind of, brings some people in that way. So it helps. We're not going to get offended if people, play something different every once in a while or play something different for a while. I'm even going to be switching up my content a little bit as well.
You heard it first. Mark is going to become a Rust content creator, people.
Rust content creator. Don't know about Rust. That game seems too sweaty for me. Same with Tarkov. Tarkov interests me, but it's such a learning curve. I'm like, I don't know if I could do it.
I'm a gun guy, mate, and I listened to some of the people talking about the guns in that game, and I'm just like, I don't want to go into that much detail.
It's crazy.
My God, why do I need to pick an ammo type? Just let me go bang.
Yeah. But it's like there's not everybody can play one game forever, especially as long as DayZ's been around. You'd go mental, you know what I mean? So variety is always good. It's always good to look around for sure.
Yeah. We're now into a section about the community reality. So what does good, useful feedback actually look like? We touched on it before with the whole feedback tracker is nerds, but that's what you primarily deal in is feedback from the community, not so much the feedback tracker.
No, not so much the feedback tracker. That's dealt by someone else. But
but feedback for you guys in the marketing team.
Like the feedback of fix your game, it's shit. It's not really 100% great. To be honest, could be better.
It's shit. Why?
Or if there's an issue, like, hey, fix this, or we'll get if someone DMs and they're like, hey, fix this. Just accurate information and give us the most information about the issue you're having. The more info you can give us, the more easier it'll be for the team to be able to figure out why this is happening.
Well, what should they be sending to the Twitter/Instagram account that shouldn't really be going to the feedback tracker?
I don't know really much. Pretty much most feedback and stuff like that goes through the tracker because it all gets categorized and stuff like that, and it all gets sent to whichever department and stuff. I don't know really. Like if you're having a bug or an issue with your game not running or something like that, obviously that goes to the feedback tracker. If you have feedback on like, hey, this would be a cool idea to add, you can DM us about that if you want, and we can either say it's like not going to happen, or if it's like something interesting, we're like, hey, put it on the feedback tracker and it'll get listed or whatever, and it might get looked into.
Here's a scenario for you. I'm playing on SY1234 server, and I encounter a hacker.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Good question. I guess there isn't much. Change server, number one. Get off the server.
But how do I report it to you guys?
You can let us know that, like, hey, there is one there. We'll send you a link to BattleEye to then submit a report there, because you're best off submitting it directly to them instead of through us. But obviously everybody doesn't know where to go, so like we'll send the link. That's best that can be done there. You know, DM us for that if you want, and we'll just send you a link and, you know, tell you what to do from there.
What about
BattleEye doesn't respond to those, by the way. So people go, no, they'll submit it and then they won't get a response back. That's intentional. They don't respond on purpose, like to a ticket being done. It gets like filed and then looked into. So that's also something to keep in mind there.
I have found a server that is breaking the monetization rules. What should I do?
Yeah, you can DM us for something like that, definitely. We'll then send you another link to the server monetization website. Majority of the time, we will send you a link to the monetization page. We'll give you exact instructions on what to do. You'll hit the contact us button and then just fill out as much information. If you've got screenshots and everything like that, fill it out. Some people have issues with it for some reason. Maybe they want to attach some files and it doesn't work. They can send it to us and then we'll send it to legal, and then it'll get taken down that way. The same goes for if there is like a Jupyter base or something like that. Send us a DM, but you need to be this specific on that. We need like server, platform, and location. Those three things are like major for something like that, because, you know, we can go on to one, we can have a look, but if you have those, it makes it faster, you know, that way to get them like removed and stuff.
And with location, try to, if you can, maybe go to Eyes of Ive, get the XY coordinates or something like that, folks. Don't just north of Tizzy or
or if like
they'll probably be able to find it, but
yeah, some people will be like, oh, there's a base on this server at the Northwest Airfield ATC, and then like we know where that is, right? So most people do provide screenshots, but
Does Reddit matter internally?
Yeah. We monitor Reddit. Yeah. We monitor it like any other social. I think I'm the most active person on the Reddit.
God help
it's
you.
monitored more than we interact on it. I interact on it. I'll try, when I'm on Reddit, I'll try answer questions related to topics if I have the answer to them. Of course, we can't give the answer to everything out there, but recently I've been on there, and like with 129 stuff, there was a lot of misinformation. I'll go into like a post, comment, clarify it, and people are happy with that. So I don't mind getting a better relationship with the Reddit community. I try to give the most accurate information I can. But yeah, we definitely monitor Reddit just like we would any other social media platform we have.
What actually moves the needle inside the studio the most?
In terms of what exactly? Like a decision being made or a game?
Feedback. Feedback from the community. What
moves it the most?
I'm going to say player numbers most likely, or obviously money's a big motivator. What is getting people to what brings income in, because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, folks,
of course,
BI is a company and they need to make money, staff to pay, and Marek needs to buy a new media empire or whatever. But it's what have you noticed that you can say obviously gets the best reaction from the devs in the terms of feedback?
Positive. I don't know really. That's not really a question I don't think I can answer. Like in terms of player numbers or money and stuff, that's out of my role, for example, where I don't have any say.
And that's probably a department lead sort of thing that would be talking about when you've got like Tales, Sumrak, Scotty, and the other heads of the various departments are probably
they love obviously positive feedback. They do love the negative feedback as well. Like if something isn't right or stuff like that. The best thing you can do is give accurate feedback on something, especially when an update comes out. People love it when, or the devs love it when, they add something like when the boats got added to DayZ back, last year, or I guess year before now at this stage.
Yeah.
And people were seeing them being used and stuff like that, and they were working and stuff like that. It really brought up morale in like the office and stuff like that, and people were so happy and stuff. But for like what makes decisions go around exactly, I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. And like what if it's player numbers or money or stuff like that, I don't know.
Are player expectations realistic for the game?
Depends. There's some pretty wild expectations out there. Those ones, no. A lot of people want a lot of things that just won't happen in DayZ. You know what I mean? Like adding Barrett 50 cals or the bow. The bow I would not mind like to see back, to be honest with you.
You wouldn't?
No, I would.
Oh, if you said wouldn't, then I was going to end the interview and say and fucking never uploaded. Jesus Christ.
No, I would like to see the bow back. It'd be interesting. I never got to use it actually in the alpha days. There's one weapon I never got to use. So it'd be interesting. I know it's like due to mainly animations and stuff. It's why it's not there because, we don't have the biggest animation team. A lot of people want give us an LMG with 200 rounds. I don't see the point of something like that.
I talked about that
DayZ
in the last episode I uploaded. I don't know if you got to watch it with Victory, but we spoke about LMGs specifically in there, and they honestly really play no place in vanilla DayZ.
No.
It's a weapon that at most maybe you could find a fixed position one or something, but even then it's the ammo is too clunky. They all take specialized ammo, and it's just there's mods out there. Console, sorry, I know you don't have mods, but it really doesn't belong in a game like DayZ.
No. People want like helicopters and stuff like this.
Helicopter.
Again, helicopters are something that would be cool, but do they serve a purpose in the vanilla game? Like they're cool as
that's a hard one though, because it was such an iconic thing. A lot of Frankie's videos back in the day revolved around it. There's a lot more lore associated with DayZ around helis than there is around LMGs per se.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess the majority of people's expectations for DayZ are over the top. Probably shouldn't be expected, I guess. People want everything. You know what I mean? People want it to be a mill sim, but DayZ is not a mill sim. You know what I mean? People want it to be the ultimate survival game, but like you're never going to have everything in there to please everyone. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a tricky one to answer because there is so many expectations from so many.
Hey, if you want a mill sim, there's a really good game called Armor. You can go check out. Yeah. You might not have heard of it, but just
pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard it's okay. Yeah, you've heard good things too.
It's pretty good. Yeah, we do that sometimes. Like people will be like, on Twitter or something, they'll be like, "Hey, at DayZ, why don't you add a helicopter and an LMG plus an RPG?" And we're like, "Hey, did you know we have this game called Arma?" And like we don't hesitate in calling these people out and be like, "Hey, we do have this if you want to try it." So it's pretty funny.
Knees give me a bit of that's why I'm wincing a bit. My knees playing up a bit.
You're all good.
What frustrates you most about online discourse? That's going to be a hard one to narrow down.
Oh, a lot of people don't understand, and I don't think they should fully understand, but a lot of people don't understand how game development works. And that, like they'll say like, "Oh, these devs are lazy and shit and they should sell the company to X, Y, and Z because they would do better."
Really?
But it's like, yeah, really? Like a game like DayZ is so complicated, and like people will say like, "Oh, it's a shame like Rockstar hasn't made a competitor to DayZ." It's because like these games are so difficult to make, they cost so much money, they're like, it's such a difficult thing to make, and I didn't realize as well, and I might have been, I would have been similar, I guess, beforehand as well. But once you step into the role, you realize like, holy shit, this is like, it's a monster of a game to make. It's very complicated. A lot of people don't understand how they work, and they leave a lot of comments that way where you're just like, yeah, that's just not how that works. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if you could even I don't know how I could explain to somebody how it works, because it's so complicated, that way.
It's something, again, we've spoken about it many a time back in the podcast, and I've spoken about it with many a guest. But I always try, where I remember, to turn around and say, it was something I probably did say at the start, then I quickly realized that whilst it might sound easy just to say, well, why don't you just fix it? It's a case of, even with any game, it's a bit of an issue, but with a game as old as DayZ that's made up from 2 different engines, it's a case of every single little thing has flow-on implications. Look at the delays at 1.29. And you have said why the delays are happening, but it's not just as simple as saying just fix it. It's a case of prioritizing. You basically got to triage what's most important, what's going to give us the best bang for our buck, and to turn around and say something, it should be easy. Well, yeah, maybe it should be, but you've got a caveat. Like, there's some things that they sound easy, but they're not easy to implement. I can't remember who it was. I've got a vague memory of like some specific guest saying it's not just that easy, Boydy. Me going, oh, and them explaining it. And
it seriously isn't.
Okay, yeah, it's a pretty big undertaking. I never realized that.
Like the loot, like how loot spawns, like on a map like China, for example, is so complicated. It's incredible. Like, you'll never master to get the loot perfect. Like, it is, it's crazy complicated in how all this stuff works. It's always tweaking it. They're always trying to make it better and stuff like this. But something as simple as, like, you would think like, oh, the loot is this way. Like, just the balance of getting everything right and stuff like that is.
Well, even back in the day, crazy. Look at how long loot explosions were around for before they finally fixed that.
I remember that.
And you'd think that would be something relatively simple to fix, like hot patch. There you go, it's fixed. But no, that took months. That was around from memory.
There's a reason there's not a lot of survival games, is because they're just very, very complicated to make. And very complicated.
Pretty niche, unless you go full gamey style. Like a Rust sort of game, which, as I say gamey, but it's got some incredibly in-depth mechanics in it. But essentially, the building and the PvP is a lot simpler than a game like DayZ. So, it's not easy. It definitely fucking isn't easy, folks. What still motivates you about the community? While you answer that, I'm going to grab a drink. Keep talking. I can hear.
Okay. What motivates me about the community? I guess that they are very, very creative, whether it's modders, whether it's people taking screenshots, whether it's people doing artwork, whether it's people doing whatever. The one motivating thing is always seeing how creative people are. It's also seeing how dedicated people are to something as simple as, tracking when updates come, and making a list. Like, you see it in your Discord, Boydy, of like, people have lists of when like updates are going to kind of roughly come.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, oh my God.
Orcs is autistic at that level. Like, I love the guy for it. And it's like, I speak with him regularly, mate. And the amount of stuff he tracks, it blows. I feel so stupid because of him.
Yeah.
He sends me through stuff and I'm like, how do you work this shit out, mate? That's just next level.
Yeah. But I think it's like the creativity. People are so creative.
Look at the diorama guy that I had on. That stuff was beautiful.
Featured him in the podcast, or the community spotlight yesterday.
Yep.
Featured your episode with him as well in it, and like that's insane. Like there was an oil painting that was in the community spotlight as well. It was like taken from a screenshot and then painted with oil paints and stuff. Just insane. And the creativity and like the modders and everything, that's definitely what would keep you. The dedication and the creativity, for sure. It's next level.
Yep. Where do you see DayZ heading in the next few years?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it recently because we're all been so focused on getting 129 out the door that I haven't really thought of it. We see it's going to be around for many years to come. It isn't going anywhere. The development is still as strong as ever. Still getting better. Team is still growing. Badlands is, releasing this year.
The job's on the website, DayZ Project. So we know there's more in the pipeline that you guys can't talk about. But the information's out there. That's something I can discuss with you because it's a publicly advertised position. It's not just DayZ standalone now. It's something called the DayZ Project, which implies you guys are thinking beyond what's going on now. But I'm not going to ask you to commit, make faces or blink once or twice on the right money. But we know there's stuff happening, and that's exciting. What kind of community manager do you want to be remembered as?
I guess one that was as transparent as possible. You know what I mean? One that was straightforward. I like being a person that can just, here's the info. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat things or stuff like that. If stuff is broken, we'll tell you it's broken. If stuff is going to be delayed, we'll tell you it's delayed. We'll try to just give you the best answers we can, as good as we can. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Maybe I can't fully explain it, but like, I want to be known as like, oh, this guy was good because they were clear on what they said. They were able to just tell you straightforward, this is what's happening, or this is why this isn't happening, or this is why this is delayed, or something like that. I want to be as helpful as possible, transparent as possible, and as accurate as possible as we can be within the limits that we have.
What would make you feel like you've done this job well?
Oh, I know what it's when people compliment you and say, like, there was a little while ago, there was somebody blamed me for 129 being delayed, I think, and they were saying I should be fired or something like that. And people came to my defense, like the community came to my defense, saying like, he's one of the best community managers we've had so far because we're getting more info than we've ever had before. And that was nice to, that was nice to see. And
it doesn't cost you much, folks, but when you do leave a positive comment, trust me, for people in roles like community managers, it does resonate. It does hit well with them. So if you're happy, let them know.
Yeah.
If it all ended tomorrow, what would you be most proud of so far?
Ooh, probably the fact that, like, I was able to build something from just playing video games as a hobby.
Yep.
Started making videos, and was able to get to this, it was never something that I thought not even that I thought was possible. I never even like thought about doing it, you know what I mean? And it's, I guess proud that like you were able to make videos, and you were able to build something and a reputation that a company saw that like, oh, hey, this person would be very good for a role that you'd be able to fit in and do that role well.
Now, the last question from me before we do a couple of members' questions. Okay. What advice would you give to someone in Ireland thinking of making the leap you made?
Oh, great. Lovely accent. Honestly, if you get it shouldn't even be just from somebody from Ireland, but like if you get the opportunity, don't say no. Just take it, especially if you can. You know what I mean? Like I was in a position where, I didn't have a family of my own. I didn't, I wasn't in a relationship or anything like that. So I was able to just go, and I was able to say yes and go for it. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. A lot of my decisions, or a lot of things that happened to me, were out of my control, especially when I was younger. And being able to like do something for myself and just say yes, go for it, and it be right and stuff was definitely. So if you have an opportunity and it's to travel, or even if it's in the country and you just like it's a job or something and you're not sure, just say yes. Like just take it.
Okay, so the first question in the members supporters area is from Aki, and if it's not too personal, what did his parents say when he told him he was going to move across Europe to Prague and be some kind of community manager for this random niche Czech video game developer? We sort of touched on it, but we'll go on it again.
Well, okay, so for when I was moving, it wasn't like they were happy for me. They weren't really worried. When they were worried was when I had told them that, like, hey, this company that I make videos on wants to fly me out to the Czech Republic for an event.
They were worried about that.
They were worried about that. Yeah.
Why?
Because they didn't think it was true. And they genuinely they didn't think it was true. They were like, "What do you mean? Like, this company wants to fly you out?" And I think that kind of
they got to harvest your organs. They got to harvest your organs.
Literally, that was like you're like a kidnapped, and like I was like, that's not going to happen. But like they had that type of worry, and yeah, literally, I swear to God, not even a joke.
Oh, but that's brilliant. That is,
like. They were more
for some reason, again, this one's for you, Archie. I've just got that thing in my head, that skit Archie and I used to do. He's an entertaining man. As the sort of parents you have, they're just blindly oblivious to how the rest of the world is because they've got their little area of Ireland. That
that can be a thing. But yeah, they were. But yeah, like when I told them, like, oh, they're sending me out for a weekend to this event. They're going to fly me out and stuff like that. Like, that's what they were more worried about than me moving there. You know what I mean? They had been to Prague before on like a holiday, like to visit the Christmas markets a few years beforehand. I'd obviously never been. The first time I flew out for the Frostline event was the first time I had flown out of the country or left the country solo.
Wow.
Before. Yeah. So like it was the first time flying solo and everything. And so they were worried about that. But for the moving job, no, they were excited. I don't think there was many worries. Like when I got it and stuff, they were asking a lot of questions like this and that. But once they knew that, like, oh, hey, look, there's a relocation specialist, they'll be able to help with, like, they'll put me up in accommodation, they'll help me with all this other stuff. That eased a lot of their worries about me moving out there, and they were genuinely excited more than anything. But yeah,
that's
it was
awesome.
definitely funny.
It
was funny at the time
when you got invited for the launch.
Yeah, I swear to God. I think then as well, it kind of like, I think that's when they realized, like, oh, these videos that he's doing are not just some hobby. It can actually lead to more. I think that's when they had a realization as well, like that it was more than just, you're just doing this for fun.
The second question is from Good Cluck. Working for BI seems like a dream job for many, but the reality may be a bit different as most jobs have difficulties. Once the thing you enjoyed as a hobby becomes work, did you find it a difficult transition, and did you find any new hobbies to distance yourself from your work in your off time?
No, I didn't find it difficult for it to be a hobby into a job, because it still kind of feels like a hobby, I guess. Like, it doesn't, you enjoy it so much that it doesn't really feel like a job, I guess, which is a lucky part about it. So that part, no, it's still.
And it kind of was your job at the time. Like, you even did a fucking Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship to try to rack some money.
Yeah.
I think we took the piss out of you for that too, didn't we?
Oh, of course. Yeah, you definitely did. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, no, there was definitely no, like, it wasn't a weird transitioning going from, like, it is more of a hobby to, like, a full-time job. I don't really have many hobbies now at the moment, to be honest. I still struggle. Something I'm kind of struggling with, I guess, in a way. I play a lot more different games than just DayZ, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. People only know and probably think that I only play DayZ, but I play a lot of games in my off time and stuff like that. And I don't really have many, like, actual hobbies yet. I'm still looking for something to do other than just gaming. So
what other games do you play?
I play GTA 5 online quite a lot. I was recently playing Apex Legends for the first time in a couple of years. I played that one. Played a bit of Battlefield 6 when that came out, but to be honest, that kind of died off fairly quick, which I was sad about.
Very sad. It was EA, man.
Like my entire friend, like my brother and a couple of our friends, like we all kind of bought it, and like I thought it would be like the game we'd be grinding out for like the year, but
and actually, this is a really good time. Where Mark said before about they should sell the game to another company. Look at what EA have done with Battlefield, people. It does not matter how big of a company you are. Even Rockstar could screw up with GTA 6. Who knows? So, yeah,
that's a game that everybody's kind of questioning, I guess. Even in the office, is like, all talk is on GTA 6 and what that's going to be like. That's one I will be playing. I'm going to be buying a console soon to specifically play that game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, you definitely have to have other games to play. One thing that I always amazes me is that content creators and streamers can play or can stream every game they play. I couldn't do that. I need to have games that I just play offline. That's why I kind of stick to just making stuff on DayZ.
Marks, thank you so much, my man.
No problem.
Is there anything else that you would like to touch on or say before we wind this interview up?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of decent stuff. Yeah, no, it was a good conversation overall.
It really was, mate. It was something that I wanted to find out and dig into your background a bit more and just let people know a bit more about the human side of what this job entails. And probably the key takeaways, folks, are if you're going to leave feedback, try to give just a little bit more than your game shit.
Yeah, the more info you can give, and the more the more info you can give on an issue or something like that, the better.
Are you doing you probably can't say, another big event for Badlands?
Don't know yet, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Don't know. Not sure.
Are you hyped for it?
Yes, from what I've
should we be hyped for it?
I think so. It's coming along really nicely. It's definitely going to be it's going to be fun.
Have you had to go on motorbikes yet?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the second motorbike teaser that was out, but that was me and a few other people. They're not fully done yet, but the motorbikes will be really nice to have. I'm very excited for them. I think there's going to be a lot of clips of people crashing and dying. I think there's going to be a lot of amazing clips hit with them, and we're very excited to see that. But yeah, I think Badlands is going to be good. It's definitely going to be different. You know what I mean, with the kind of desert environment and stuff. I know people are worried that it's going to be Takistan, basically. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just Takistan. It's not. I can guarantee you that.
I've said that I'm a little bit worried, to be honest, because as I've said to people in interviews and in conversations I've had, it's almost like you guys looked at Sakal, and yes, I know the numbers did well financially, but the player numbers aren't there. And it's almost like you said, how can we make it even harder for us to knock one out of the park? I know, let's do a desert map. Because you just don't see people playing desert maps in DayZ. So I'm worried about it in that aspect, but there's also that I'm well aware of the fact that it's not just that map we're getting. It's some core changes to the engine, such as the motorbike, such as this interesting well concept that a new biome per se with the heat side of things and dust storms. And so there's more to it than just the actual map itself. And I'll be buying it. I'll be supporting it because it's DayZ. DayZ's been a big part of my gaming life. One of my top games of all time, up there with Red Dead Redemption and Asteroids and Far Cry 2. But yeah, it's I personally am a little bit worried about a desert map and it just being too much of a sniper-thon.
Of course. A lot of people have said like, it's just going to be Takistan 2.0. If you're thinking Takistan, don't, because it's not Takistan. You know what I mean? That I can't say. It's good. The environment team they know what they're doing. I think people
really
have a right to be worried and stuff.
DOJ and Mike,
so, right? You'd hope so, anyway. Yeah. So far, it looks good.
Is there even any trees from the spin?
Can't say. You have to wait and see. You have to wait and see. But no, they're doing a good job, and it'll be interesting. I think it'll be fun. Yeah, it'll definitely be better than Takistan anyway. I'll put it to you that way.
Marks, I'm like when you told me. I'm so happy that you are living the dream, mate. Both you and Lad.
Oh, thank you.
You were both my co-hosts, and you're now both in the team. And it's personally for me, it's been such an honor to see people who I've considered friends actually go on to bigger and better things than doing a stupid old fucking podcast with me, and actually getting to live the dream. Both you and Lad, young single guys, now living over there and working for the company, and DOJ as well, Jacob Mango, Arkansas, Mario,
Steve, and everyone.
That's Steve Salkatesh.
A lot of us.
And it's amazing. And I want to end it again with something I always say, that there are faults with BI. They definitely do have a habit of making some weird decisions that you sit there and scratch your head and go, why did they do that one? That's odd. But, again, with that feedback, if they should just sell the game and give it to someone else, I don't know who else I would want to have their hands on DayZ. Barring Dean Hall himself, and I know a lot of people won't agree with me on that because they're still butthurt that he took off to climb a mountain and bought a Lamborghini. But I personally think that's living the fucking dream. Guy made a mod, made a shitload of money from it, and he started his own gaming company. What's to be angry about there, people? The guy fucking...
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. But as we just said, look at what happened with Battlefield. Call of Duty's another title that's just completely fallen off. It's BI.
We had actually, sorry to interrupt, but I think we had more consecutive players than Call of Duty at one stage when it first released.
Yeah.
And that was like Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Black Ops 7, and Warzone all combined. We had more concurrent players than at one stage. So that was kind of cool to see. But
BI does have its faults, but they're a pretty fucking damn good gaming company. And one thing that I'll always point back to, I know that they do have some other games with different monetization models, and I know there was some issues with Vigor and all the rest of it. But as far as Armor and DayZ go, how can you complain about a game like DayZ? We bought the game, most of us, for $25 or so back 12 years ago, and we've had 2 DLCs in that time. And the only other money you've been asked to invest is if you want to buy some merch here or there. And you choose to start a server or something like that. So for less than probably $100 Australian, which is probably even less in Euro and US, you've had a game that for some of us we've been playing for 12 years. And it's still going. It still works. The game still works. It has its bugs, but that's part of the charm of DayZ. So be careful what you wish for, folks. It could be in the hands of a company who would have abandoned it when it was down to 3,000 players or so, but they stuck with it. And the team's bigger than it ever has been that I can recall.
It is,
I'm excited to see what the future holds. I'm excited for, and again, this is not me saying anything that someone's told me. No one has told me. I don't ask this question because I don't want to have to put people in a position where they feel, awkward. But I'm excited for DayZ 2 when it's eventually announced because I firmly believe it will be because it's an easy money. DayZ's got such a legacy. At the end of the day, the company needs money to keep operating. And what easier way to make money than to release DayZ 2 on the Infusion engine? But that won't be for years. I would say no sooner than 3 years' time. Armour 4's got to get released first, folks. And, how they release it, we'll see. But I'm excited for Badlands, even though I'm nervous. But I'm excited for the tech side. And I'm just excited for all my mates who are now working for the company, except Mike. He can go suck a dick.
Yeah, right, yeah. We keep him in the dungeon.
Yeah. He doesn't even get the broom closet. He gets the dungeon. You guys are moving office soon too, aren't you?
We are. We're building right next door.
Yeah.
It's still under construction.
Where the car park was?
No, where there was a sports store, like a 2-story store next to us. It was torn down and we got a new office. So yeah, we're getting a new office. We're getting 2 floors now soon, so that'll be nice.
2 floors for the DayZ team.
Yep. Yes, sir.
You won't be tripping over each other anymore.
No, it'll be nice. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be cool to have a brand new building.
Awesome. So. Well, mate, thank you once again, and I'm excited for the future. I'm in the process of talking with Mike Doherty about coming on to talk about his new map that he's making for the Karma Crew team. But again, if there's anyone else you guys and girls would like to see me interview, leave a comment down below. I'll hit them up, and we'll go from there. But we are done for now, buddy. Thank you so much. Any final messages?
No, thank you for having me on. It was good. I'm glad I was able to finally come on. I was watching the Minder episode you done, and that like kind of motivated me to come on. So I was like, hey, why not try it? So yeah. No, I appreciate you.
That was a good interview with Minder. It's actually done really well. A lot of positive comments from that one as well. We done what we achieved. We wanted to share some info about how to build a big community, and
nice, good.
No, awesome. All the best, everyone, and ciao for now.